All right, everyone, welcome into the first NBA DFS video of the season. Going to be breaking down the two-game slate that we have on Tuesday. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, so I'm going to start off with a quick game preview of both the games that we have here, looking at the game totals and point spread, seeing if we're getting any edges there. We start off with this Rockets versus OKC game. The Thunder are going to be 7.5-point favorites in this game, and for me, that is when I start to worry about a blowout a little bit, especially in terms of the minutes being a little bit different than what they're projected to be. Maybe the starters don't get their final rotation, or maybe they don't play the last 3 minutes. Obviously, that can be the make or break on any slate, but more specifically, a two-game slate. Maybe some backups become slightly more appealing if that does end up happening. So if Vegas is correct about that 7.5-point spread, maybe you're not getting to the starters as much. Maybe you're getting to a backup there. It's a two-game slate. It's a little bit of a way to get unique. Game total-wise, nothing too crazy. You're kind of a standard game total. And that will also be the same for the Lakers versus Golden State Warriors game, guys. 225.5. Nothing too crazy there, game total-wise. Point spread-wise, pretty close game. Projection-wise, about 2.2 on average right now. So I do want to call it just the basketball tab right now. This is something I just added in. So if you guys are a 9to5 member, you'll have access to all these tools. If you guys aren't a 9to5 member, only $10 a month. I'll give you access to all the tools on the website. But we had that sportsbook cheat sheet there. I'll show you guys the DraftKings cheat sheet throughout this, and then the lineup builder as well. We have the betting optimizer in there. That's for props betting purposes. But for Houston, let's start with them, guys. Nothing too crazy injury-wise. DFS is out, Tate is out. We knew Fred VanVleet would be out. The biggest question mark was kind of which center was going to start, and that is going to be Steven Adams in the first game. He's projected to start in this first game, but if we go ahead here and take a peek at the cheat sheet center-wise, we have Clint Capella projected for 18 minutes. We have Steven Adams projected for 17 minutes. We're also going to notice that they are typically point per minute type players, type producers, both about the same. So if they do get those minutes that they're projected to get, they should or could get to 19 or 18 DFS points, which is not terrible, especially for a slate. So that ends up being decent value. And we have Sengun there as well. Obviously, Sengun is typically a very strong asset for us in our DFS builds, but it is kind of surprising that they are running out a lineup with Adams, Sengun, and Jabari Smith to start. That is because OKC obviously tends to run out Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein together there as well. I think that's the way to combat that. So looking at guys, I don't mind Sengun. He is someone that you would expect to go off, but just how much will he go off? I kind of expect him to get closer to his average of what he had last year. And it's kind of the first real game, obviously, with KD being on the court there with Sengun. How much will that change Sengun's role? Probably not all too much, but I do expect his DFS production to fall down a little bit. And I will say KD to me does feel a little bit priced up as well. And the data is kind of suggesting that there as well, guys. Only projecting about 3.8x for his value. So not the best play there. Amen Thompson's kind of a little bit of an interesting click to me, but also not a spot where I feel like we necessarily need to get to him at. I do think there's a good chance that he's able to hit around his average from last year as well, which for this two-game slate, not terrible. Being the point guard for the Rockets as well, that's going to be pretty huge. He should have a little bit more usage in the spot as well. That should raise his floor up a decent amount. My worry is that we're probably not looking at 5x here for him. We're probably just looking about 4.5, which is what he's projected to get. So I would agree with that projection there. We go ahead and take a peek at the point guard. Reed Shepherd is going to be, I think, a value that some people are going to try to get to just because he's priced at 4.9. He is someone that can go off. We have seen him go off in the Summer League. We saw him have a good game in the preseason there as well. He's someone that makes sense to get some minutes. Currently, I'm projected to get 18 minutes, 8 points as well. Could get some steals in there. So he is someone that could be productive. And if the game potentially does end up being a blowout in favor of OKC, Reed Shepherd would be a player that would make sense to get a little bit of additional run there in a blowout. Shooting guard wise, nothing too crazy. Power forward wise, Jabari Smith Jr. guys, not really an option as well. So we are somewhat limited with the Rockets players that we can be on. If we sort by value, it's really just the two bigs to me as how I'm seeing it. Now, I don't mind Amen Thompson. Sengun is someone in play, but I kind of just like punting to Steven Adams or Clint Capella. Tari Eason projecting at 20 minutes. Nothing too crazy there for me as well. So let's go ahead and jump into OKC. So for OKC, a little bit interesting here. Jalen Williams is going to be out tonight, and so that should create some value for us on this slate. And so let's go ahead and talk about that. So the player that benefits the most, as we saw last year, if we include Isaiah Joe, who's also out, but Jalen Williams is the concentration here. The player that benefits the most is point guard SGA, MVP SGA. And I don't know if you guys saw, I want to call this out, kind of a fun thing that I saw is happening. The players that got awards last year are getting a gold NBA logo. And I don't know, just kind of a fun thing to me. It's a little, I know if I was an athlete, that'd been like a fun thing to, have on your jersey to kind of separate yourself as something you earned. And it's just, so it makes it a little bit more impact in getting those awards there. So I thought that was fun. But yeah, getting to SGA, guys. So last year averaged 38.4 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, 7.8 assists, 1.1 steals, 1.1 blocked, about 3 turnovers, 24 field goals attempt rounding up there, but 37% usage rate and 62.2 DFS points per game with Jalen Williams off the court. And I really see no reason why we couldn't expect that again. Maybe you're worried about the bigs that the Rockets are playing. I'm kind of just seeing that as I probably won't be getting to Chet Holmgren all too much if that's going to be a defensive attention type of thing. Maybe Chet Holmgren takes another step. I kind of want to see that first, but I do think DFS-wise, Isaiah Hartenstein is probably a little bit more in play. Don't necessarily love the price tag. Like when we look at what maybe we could get lucky with Clint Capella or Steven Adams, I'm not necessarily sure we'll get that with Isaiah Hartenstein, but he is someone that does benefit with Jalen Williams off the court. Last year, averaged 2.8 more points per 36, 1 rebound more, 1 less assist, but an average of about 2.3 more DFS points per 36 with him off the court. Now, when it comes to Isaiah Hartenstein, guys, he is projected to get 26 minutes, so obviously not 36 minutes, but 26 minutes is not terrible. Someone that could easily, and they're projecting him to get a ton here. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but he does get a decent boost there. And when I say there, I'm just, how we're doing the projections is mostly based off of Vegas expectations. We are having a baseline from other sources that, helps us create the lines, but I'm a little bit surprised at this one specifically. Per 36 with Jalen Williams off the court, though, he did average about 46 DFS points. So maybe we are playing Hartenstein a little bit more than I was expecting there. And so lineup wise, let's actually just go put him in there. I feel like that's a good play, and we'll put SGA in the point guard spot here. I think that's going to be a good spot for us to target. Then from there, what can we look at? Well, Carson Wallace is not terrible. Sorry, Casson Wallace. I don't know. I always say that with him. He got the third most minutes with those two players off the court. Did see about 2.2 more points per 36 with him off the court, and about 4.2 more DFS points as well per 36 with him off the court. And if we look at Wallace, guys, projected to get around 21 minutes, not a terrible play, but also probably a little bit too priced up. Alex Caruso, someone that I personally think is going to end up being a pretty good play on the slate, should have a pretty high floor, I would assume, just in the spot. Projected at 22 minutes, 4.7x. He's a player that I've ended up on a decent amount early builds, mostly due to his price. I feel like that ends up being a pretty solid price. Other than that, Dort's not terrible at 4.4, but also not a play that we need to go crazy with. Forward-wise, again, Hartenstein listed as a center on DraftKings. And so how I kind of see the slate is we're playing SGA most likely. Hartenstein I'm fine with. And then we're probably trying to get to one of Caruso, Dort, maybe Wiggins. I don't necessarily love Chet Holmgren, but if you want to get to him there, you can. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump on into the evening game, Golden State versus Lakers. We're going to start out with the Warriors. So Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga are both questionable. I'm expecting them to play. They're expected to play as well. Looking at it, guys, Al Horford probably going to start at center. Not expected to play on back-to-backs. We kind of expected that. So props betting, if you guys are anyone that does those bets, keep that in mind in regards to Al Horford, because if he ends up not starting, then I think Post is someone I'm kind of interested in. He is someone that had a good preseason. I do wonder, are we going to see him consistently get right around 12 to 20 minutes consistently, especially with Al Horford, being old? I think Post is actually a decent DFS play on the slate. We are still waiting for some of his projections to come in. Maybe that doesn't end up being the case, but I do think Post is pretty darn appealing as a value on the slate if we need to get there. Again, that is not confirmed. Could end up being wrong about that. And when we look at Al Horford, not great. Okay, he is projected at 28 minutes in this game. Cheap salary. He is someone that obviously can stuff the stat sheet, but currently the projection data doesn't really like him. Draymond Green's not terrible, projected about 4.5x. Jackson Davis is okay at his price tag, 3.2, gets 16 minutes is what he's projected to get. If he ends up getting that, not hard for him to be able to get value at 5x is what he's projected to get. Not terrible there, guys. Small forward wise, Jimmy Butler, perfectly fine with him. A little bit too priced up though, I would say. It is the first game of the year. I tend to, in these big spots, Christmas Day slates and whatnot like that, I tend to think these players are going to show up. And so something like Jimmy Butler, I don't mind as a play, but also feels like we'd be forcing a little bit. Pods, I don't hate as well, but also feels like more of a shoulder shrug play. If you guys are unfamiliar with my shoulder shrug plays, they are plays where if you end up on them to close out your build, you kind of just, all right, fine, I'll end my build with that player. That's how I feel about Pods there. And then Curry is probably the most appealing play on the slate here for the Golden State Warriors. 9.3. It does feel like this could be a game in which he just simply takes over against the Lakers. Only 4.6x is what he's projected to get, but really not too high priced up as well. The biggest question I have is Marcus Smart. How much will he really impact this game defensively? Because matchup-wise, when I'm looking at it, I do think Jimmy Butler gets the better matchup, and then Kuminga gets a decent matchup as well. Okay, and so that's where I do like Curry the most, but I could see a path where it ends up being those two guys going off a little bit more so. Lakers-wise, I will say I am a sucker for DeAndre Ayton. Early on in the season, we'll see how this ends up lasting for him. I don't know. To me, the vibes feel correct. He's been someone that has produced some good results for them in the preseason. Last game for the Lakers, they did it as a typical tune-up game that you might see in the NFL. For years in the NFL, guys, when they did 4 preseason games, it was the starters in the NFL would play 3 quarters in the third game or something like that. That's what they did in their last game, and so I want to spend some time on that with the Lakers. So let's take a peek here, guys. So yes, Ayton ended up playing 30 minutes, Hachimura 30 minutes. I would expect Luka and basically all the stars to get a little bit more run in this game than what they got. Luka probably closer to 35, Austin Reeves probably closer to 35 as well. I don't really care about kind of the game that Reeves had. I like the shot attempts, 15 shot attempts there, 0 for 7 from 3. Like the fact they still chucked up 7 3-balls in that game. Luka Doncic obviously got to the free throw line a lot in that game. We don't need to read into that too much. 16 shot attempts went off in that game. We're going to want to play him. Gabe Vincent, 23 minutes. That might end up being the case because I do think Marcus Smart is going to be on the court a bunch as well. And so, although Gabe Vincent probably someone we could look at, I actually kind of like Marcus Smart a little bit more. The question, big-wise, is who will it be? Will it be Jake LaRivia, who I don't hate? Will it be Jared Vanderbilt? Or will this be the case where they are mixing and matching the minutes for the bigs? We don't know that just yet. That does feel like a guessing game. Hachimura getting that many minutes is a little bit of a shock to me. If he ends up getting that, that's obviously huge. But again, that was supposed to be their tune-up game, and so that's why I'm bringing that up to you guys. And so I do want to talk about DeAndre in a little bit more. If he does end up getting around 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more than that, I do think he's going to be pretty successful for us DFS-wise, especially at this price tag. I see him being able to get to his average, which was obviously on the Phoenix Suns last year, but I expect him to be able to get around 33 DFS points for us. And so I think that ends up being a pretty solid center play. And so now it is worth talking about Luka Doncic, guys, because last year, kind of weird math here, with LeBron James off the court, Luka Doncic on the court. Obviously, we kind of have to do that with the midseason trade that they made. And they didn't have DeAndre Ayton there, so it's a little bit different. They didn't really have a true center there after that trade. But Doncic had a 42% usage rate. Massive, okay? He averaged 64 DFS points per game, 37 real-life points, 9 rebounds, 8.6 assists. He should go off. He almost feels like a must-play. And you can see, if we are playing SGA and Luka Doncic together, we're going to be capped with what we can do lineup-wise. We do need to talk about Austin Reeves as well. Austin Reeves averaged 40 DFS points per 36 with LeBron James off the court as well. So he's going to be appealing there. He should get the shot attempts up. We know to expect that there from him. And so let's just go ahead and take a peek at the projections as well. So Ayton, about 5x. Reeves about 5x, Doncic about 5x. So you guys can see kind of why I want to get to those three, a decent amount of the builds. I think that ends up being a good route for us to go on the slate. I like Marcus Smart a little bit more than the data's telling us. Hachimura is fine, kind of a shoulder shrug play. I could say Jake LaRivia, if he ends up getting more than 16 minutes, end up being a decent click for us on the slate as well. We could bet on that. we don't know what to expect just yet for that. Do you want to call it, guys? Right now, if you guys are playing or using this tool, don't have any ownership projections coming in just yet. Apologies for that. Basically, right now, whenever something like that happens, me adding that in there would lead to me having to raise the cost of the membership, and I just don't want to do that just yet by adding in something, and it raised by a decent amount. Like having to pay for that would be a decent amount. So still working on that. We'll see when that gets added in. So let's try to close out this first look build here for you guys. So we can go ahead and put Marcus Smart in there. I'm fine with that. Power forward wise, we probably are going to have to punt to a value. I think we can go with Jake Larivia. Then we have 4.5 left over. Don't necessarily like it. Maybe Vanderbilt. I kind of hate it. I hate the closing out like that. So not the best there. OKC wise, is there anyone? No, not really. So that's tough closing out there. And this is kind of the issue with this slate, guys, is there's a big jump and we're getting to a bunch of punt plays at the 5K range. So kind of weird there. Let's go ahead and see. That's enough with me, my thoughts. Let's go ahead and see what the 9-5 lineup builder is going to be the best route to go. So I'm not going to change anything here, guys. Just going to run it 20 lineups. We will raise up the lineup min here a little bit. We'll do $500. 900 left or whatever. We're going to do 20 lineups here, just see what it spits out to us. Again, I think Quinton Post is going to be a decent value for us. So he's someone that right now could potentially bump up his fantasy score. Could be completely wrong about that as well. That's stuff that should update tomorrow for us once we get some props coming in for him, if he's going to get some run. So the top lineup as it currently sits, Luka, Dort, Caruso, Butler. It's okay. Aiden, Reeves, Jabari Smith, and Jackson Davis, who, again, not terrible. But let's go ahead and just see kind of the total ownerships as it currently sits right now. Thompson, a decent amount. Again, he's someone that should get some ownership. I really think we should be trying to get to like one of Luka or SGA in all of our builds for this. And that might be something I do. I want at least one of Luka and SGA in all the builds. And then that's kind of the approach. Maybe both of them. I could see locking them into a slate. Never wanted to use the lock word, especially in NBA, but could end up doing that there as well. Probably going to bump up the min exposure on them, like 80% for both. And that works out a little bit better when we do that. So that's going to do it for the first NBA DFS video this slate, guys. Fun to break it down. We already had some inactive players. That makes it, add a little bit more analysis for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. Make sure to leave a like if you guys did. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell as well. If you guys would like access to any of the tools that you saw throughout this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com, guys. Again, get access to all the tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month, including that's going to be access to all the tools that you see on this page, plus much more for NBA. Appreciate you guys being here. Good luck with your opening night builds, and I'll see you guys for the Wednesday slate. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.